Hey, welcome to the 800-Pound Gorilla Expert Podcast, where we interview experts at helping you grow your business or your practice. I'm your host, Carl Utter, and now today's show. All right, I am here with David Shriner Cahn. David, how are you today?
I'm great, Carl. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Tell us a little about yourself.
So I'm an entrepreneur, also a podcaster and speaker, and I was an employee for the first 28 years of my career. Became an entrepreneur in 2006, and in my case, the trigger for me was the day that I was told that my job was over, and it was a bit traumatic. Like many businesses, there have been a lot of ups and downs and pivots. And what I'm doing today is nothing that I envisioned I would be doing 13 years ago. I have to say that it's been a lot of fun. It's been a great ride, and I'm really glad that I took the plunge.
Good. What is the name of your business, David? Tell us.
So the name of the business is Tend Strategic Partners, which is
Okay.
a name that's kind of all-encompassing, that includes consulting, coaching, training, team building, facilitating, etc.
Good. It's funny you say that consulting, coaching, training. I think today more so now than ever before, I think the lines are really getting blurred and which is which. I think people that are good at working with companies, have expertise in all three of those areas. Interesting. So who is an ideal client for you?
An ideal client for me is somebody who has great skills, who is a highly talented professional, who is building a business after a late career job loss. So somebody who has gone through the same kind of trajectory I went through and is right in the midst of it, going, holy, you know what? This just happened to me, and I've got to figure out how to take the next step, and it's not going to be a job.
Got it. What problems do you help these entrepreneurs solve, David?
Well, they may think that their problem is, I need to find a way to self-generate some income. The reality is that the problems that they have are, first of all, trauma, because they have just been through a traumatic event. A job loss for somebody who is particularly in the second half of her or his career can be very traumatic.
Right.
And it's not something that a lot of people feel comfortable even talking about with those that are close to them. And the reality is, most of the people that are close to you don't want to hear about your job loss because they're afraid that it's going to happen to them. People don't like talking about uncomfortable subjects. So trauma is a big one. And then there's fear. The two biggest fears are fear that whatever they're going to try to do next is not going to work out the way they hope. So fear of failure. Second fear is everything that I have built up until this point is at risk. And so it might take me some time and an investment of some of my savings to get a business off the ground. And I'm afraid that if I've put away X number of dollars, I'm going to lose that.
Yep.
Or if I run through all my cash and my assets that can be made liquid, then if I own a home, my home may be at jeopardy or other things. So there's fear of losing something that's already been achieved. The fear is a big one. So that's the second problem. The third problem is once they kind of deal with all that emotional baggage, and they're actually launching something, mindset is one of the most important attributes that you need in order to be successful. Being an entrepreneur is lonely. It's really hard work. And you have to get up, right? You're smiling. You have to get up every single day with a smile on your face and be ready to conquer the world.
There you go.
You have to do it. You got to do that day in and day out. It doesn't matter how many leads you've been speaking to, or how many leads you've been trying to generate, or how long you've been trying to get your first sale to actually happen. Whatever it is, you got to have that positive mindset every day.
There you go.
The last problem, which is sort of the ongoing thing, which is what most people focus on first, is the basic strategies and tactics to run a business.
Got it.
But
Got it.
unless you deal with all the other stuff first, you're not going to have a business to run.
So, and I think you might have just answered my next question, but what's a typical mistakes you'll see entrepreneurs make when they try to go off and do this stuff without the help of a professional like yourself, David?
It will take them way longer.
Okay.
They will make many more mistakes. First of all,
What kind of mistakes?
they'll think that like, I'm not earning any money, so I can't afford to invest in a good graphic designer to give me a good presence. Like every business needs a website. Doesn't
Right.
have to be complicated. It could be a static, like a business card website, but you should have a graphic designer design it so that it looks really polished.
And that's not that hard in this day and age.
It's not that hard. It's not going to cost you a lot of money.
Yep.
But if you're not a designer, it's going to take you a long time to do it or to figure it out. And it's probably not going to be that great. So like me, I'm not a designer. I would probably spend hours and hours and hours, days and weeks trying to create a static website. It would look like crap, and it wouldn't really help me sell anything.
There you go.
Whereas if I invested even a few $100s in a designer, it would be way better.
So if I'm a new business and I'm dealing with the trauma, I've lost my job, I'm going into business, what's one action that you would recommend that I take, that would help me over?
What kind of business would actually be easiest for you to sell right away? Who might be a good referral source? Who has done this already? Who could give you some pointers?
Good.
Who can you take out to lunch, or have a cup of coffee with this person? Can you give me some pointers? Admit what you don't know.
Brain. Yep.
Yeah.
Got it.
Build your relationships, the relationships that are going to be most helpful.
Good.
And the second is try to join a group of people like you, some who are a little bit ahead of you and some who may be a little behind you, so you can support one another and do some group think and some brainstorming. You'll be surprised how much that will help.
That's great. That's great. So I think your advice is get a support group.
Get a support
group. Yep. What's one free resource you could direct our audience to, David, that would help them? Maybe you have maybe something on your podcast, a free download, something you could recommend they listen to.
Yeah, well, they can certainly go to my actually, I have two podcasts, so they can go to Smashing the Plateau, which is sort of the home base and the umbrella for our content.
Okay.
It's smashingtheplateau.com. Smashingtheplateau.com. We have about 500 episodes with great stories of people who have gone through all kinds of struggles. Whatever problems you think you have, you're probably going to hear worse stuff here, and how people have overcome that. And second is a new podcast that we're just launching now called Going Solo. Going Solo, building a successful business following elite career job loss. And we're really getting specific about this transition. If you're 50, 55, 60, 65 years old, you want to keep working, you need to keep working, you don't want to have another job, or you're probably not going to be able to find another job that's going to pay you enough. We will give you all kinds of stories, experiences, tips, resources about how you can do this. And there are lots of people who are part of the Going Solo network, obviously including me, who can be helpful to you when you're going through these things. Don't try to just do this all by yourself. It's just too hard.
Give us that website again.
smashingtheplateau.com.
Yep, and then the Going Solo one as well.
Right, and Going Solo, you'll find Going Solo on the smashingtheplateau.com.
Okay, great. So, David, we come to this point. This is my favorite part of the whole interview right here, is I get to ask this question. I love asking this question. And what's the one question I should have asked you today, David, but I didn't?
Who's the most important person or people that you should spend time with?
David, who's the most important people we should spend time with?
Very often when you're trying to start a business after a job loss, it's not your close friends or your family, because they're going to be scared about what you're doing and they're going to try to talk you out of it. What you need to do, you need to spend time with other entrepreneurs, especially people who have made that transition successfully.
That's great. So you've been a great interviewer or interviewee, I'm sorry, and that is Going Solo, smashingtheplateau.com at smashingtheplateau.com. This has been David Shriner Cahn, our guest today. David, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Carl.
You're welcome. This has been the 800-Pound Gorilla Expert Podcast.